So does Chanakya suggest anything on family matters or say relationships? Because these days we are seeing a lot of complexities in personal relationships. Husband and wife are not able to stand each other. Post-COVID, things have become more dramatically going south. So what does Chanakya has to say on this?
In fact, there's a lot of message for the young generation about relationships in Chanakya Niti. Please understand that relationships is always about commitment and sacrifice.
Okay, and why is that?
Shall I tell you? So if you look at our parents' generation, yes. They also had differences of opinion.
Right.
They also had arguments. They also had, different way of, maybe fighting out their opinions and their choices. But the greatest thing that we find in them is that, they were still committed to each other.
Right.
So in fact, it is said in Chanakya Niti that, in a family, the husband and the wife, the parents especially have to be role models. Yes, I think between two friends also they fight. Between two siblings also they fight. And there's a very famous saying that, when nobody is there, we fight with each other. But if somebody external comes, we fight together against that enemy.
Yes.
So I think, whenever there's a relationship problem, remember it's a love-hate relationship. Whenever proximity comes, you don't like it. Right. Everybody wants an individual space. Everybody wants to, have their own opinion voiced.
Right.
But sometimes an external power is required to bring you together.
Right.
I had once read about, India and the British. When Britishers were ruling us, we were actually 550 princely states. Okay, and then these Britishers were troubling us, they were ruling us, they came together. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was once asked, do you believe Britishers have the policy of divide and rule? He says, no, we divide ourselves and they rule. So in relationship, I think love is something that is very important. Otherwise, the outsider will break you. Right. So we should have lots of patience. And I have written in one of my books, Chanakya in you. And I will like to repeat it over here. A very powerful statement. It says, I may not agree with you. I may not agree with you, but till death, I will not take away your freedom to disagree with me. So I think in relationship, the best way to sort out matters is talk a lot.
Right, sir. We
should talk. But people don't like to talk because now they are getting into texting generation.
Actually.
I have seen a lot of husband and wives, they keep texting each other, and let's say they're in offices. By the time they come home, there is nothing to talk. Just information is not enough. Relationship requires time and lot of communication. And please remember this golden formula. In relationship, there is nothing called as over communication. Always there is under communication. But jada baat karo, if you want to speak more also, it's fine. So the best way is to speak out what you feel. If that is happening, then no relationship can go wrong.
Absolutely, sir. So one more question which I often get, because since I'm a life and business skills coach, that in relationship they feel bonded, especially the youth of our country. They just don't know for how long they can stay committed. Maximum of them who are single, they say, I'm enjoying my freedom. So what should we do, or how should we respond to these comments or questions?
So I'll tell you, I think we need to balance two things, privacy and public life. That is what is the problem. See, if you look at, 2 generations ago, I think there were a lot of joint families. So, 4 or 5 brothers and their spouses and their children. We know of houses where there are 30, 40 people living together. Now, the biggest problem in joint families, there was no privacy. Okay, and then so people started actually becoming nuclear families. But they have realized now that, only privacy is not enough. We require support of each other. Especially, I know the mothers telling me, suppose the mother is going to work. Okay, but there is an aunt or a Masi ji at home. You can just leave the child. So yes, I require my space, my privacy, but I also require others to take care of me and my family also. So I would like to quote over here what Stephen Covey said in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes.
Every individual goes through 3 stages. And I would say every relationship also goes through these 3 stages. It's called dependence, independence and interdependence.
Yes.
Like a child is completely dependent on others. It can only cry. It has to be fed, it has to be taken care. So it is completely dependent. But when the child becomes a teenager, he or she wants to be independent. Don't tell me what to do.
Right.
But when the teenager also grows up to become a man or a woman, they realize one thing: no, I require a family.
Yes.
So all the people who have gone away from their friends will come back to their friends. And unfortunately or fortunately, that is the human nature. As we have read, man is a social being.
Yes.
So man is not only a social being, he is also a spiritual being. So yes, we require the society, have your space, but also respect the other person's space. You should have your privacy, you should respect the other person's privacy also. But come out of the private space, don't become lonely. Okay, enjoy being alone.
Yes. Totally.
Come together, talk to each other, and believe me, again go back to your private space. So we require each other. So in relationship, give the space to people, and when required, go and help them also. And when we require, please ask for help also.
Right.
Never become an individual in life.
Right, sir. Right. Sir, Chanakya was so ahead of his time. Is there any analysis on his personality? How come he was so ahead of time and he could, share so much of wisdom?
You are absolutely right. Chanakya was ahead of time, very much ahead of his time. And I think all revolutionaries, all people who impact the society were ahead of their times. And it happens in every generation. Now, Chanakya in his lifetime faced a major problem. And that problem is that there was bad leadership, or what we call bad governance. He was in Patna, what we called during those days as Patliputra. And the whole kingdom of Magad,
Right.
Patliputra was the capital of Magad kingdom, had a very horrible leader called as Dhananand.
Right. Right.
So actually, Chanakya's father went and told Dhananand, this is not the way to become a good leader. Like sometimes we suggest our politicians also, don't do this, don't do that. But instead of listening, Chanakya's father was killed by Dhananand. And Chanakya was very upset. He was a good student. He knew the political theories of leadership. He said, I will apply in my life.
Right.
And when Dhananand did not listen, he replaced by Chandragupta Maurya. Now coming back, if you look at the social structure, he came from a very, very humble background. And what many people say, his mother was a maid servant. And when Chanakya said, no, I see this boy, he's got leadership qualities. He should be made the king of our country. A lot of people objected, saying, no, he's not a Kshatriya. And we find this eternal problem. It is the quality of a person, not the birth of a person. So when he made Chandragupta Maurya the king, a lot of his people said, no, he cannot be the king of such a big country. He said, no, I will never have one more Eklavya coming who will be denied knowledge and education. So he educated Chandragupta Maurya from a very humble background, made him a king. So in a way, he was a social revolutionary. The second thing, ahead of his time, today we talk about women empowerment. Chanakya has written so much about women empowerment. In fact, he made the first payment kind of policy for women during his time. So I'll give you a small example. If you study the Arthashastra, there's a chapter on wages, tankha, salaries.
Right.
And the highest paid wage is, of course, to the king of that country.
Yes.
Could it be certain the same amount was given to the wife also? So think about it, today we are talking about equal pay, men and women. We still not achieved it, but Chanakya actually wrote about it and achieved it.
Right.
So he understood that we have to be a social revolutionary to create change in the society. So many ideas even today are relevant.
So how could he think so well? Like how could he be so a visionary?
Just like you, when you do research, you become a visionary. So he studied all the previous political science theories, what we call Rajaniti Shastra and Artha Shastra. And he wrote his own Artha Shastra. So when you research a lot, you come with new ideas.
Absolutely.
So I think across the globe, the visionaries are always researchers and students of life.
Right.
So he used to research, read a lot and write a lot, and that's how he became a Drishta, a visionary.
Okay. So another question, with AI technology and robotics, do you see we are heading into crisis where decisions would be taken based on AI prompts and not by human mind, and we would see a sharp depletion of human intervention?
A very beautiful question. There's a famous saying, common sense is not common. In the same way, artificial intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence cannot replace natural intelligence.
So we need not to fear it.
we have to use it.
Okay.
So it's like a scissor, or a knife. If you know how to use it, you will actually benefit from the knife or the scissor. But if you don't know how to hold it, it can cut you. So AI is a very good tool. So if you go to Google, I think there is a lot of AI already inscribed in that. So to just why waste time, a lot of things that can be automated. You don't require human intervention. But a lot of things cannot be replaced by, just duplicating. The human mind is very creative. It is not just automatic or it's not artificial. It's very natural. So every human being can think differently. So I think the solution is common to bring together artificial and natural intelligence. So the basics can be taken care of by the machine. The basics can be taken care by the machine, but the decision making should be taken care by the human beings only. The combination of both are very important.
Right. So, all right, sir. So second last question before we finish. What are you doing these days? Are you writing next book?
I have completed writing 3 more books.
Wow. You would like to talk about it?
Yes, surely. So as you know, you can go on to my company's website, Chanakya Private Limited. We also have a YouTube channel. So I've written a lot on my books. So the thing is that, I've been very fortunate. I never wrote a book and then went to the publisher. The publishers came to me and said, why don't you write a book? And fortunately, all 21 books are bestsellers.
Nice, sir.
And then I think the 3 books that I've written, one that I wrote was actually 100 most powerful sutras of Chanakya.
Right.
So I've studied 6,000 sutras, and my publisher Jago said, tell me, can you pick up 100 most important sutras? So I just completed that. Then, there is one series I wrote called Guru Shishya Parampara, about the teacher and the student, Chanakya and Chandragupta. It's a simple, anybody can read it and understand. It's called Guru Shishya series. So a book is coming out on that. And the third one, very interesting, especially for the young boys and girls. Chanakya for modern day startups. There are a lot of startups coming, but unfortunately, a lot of startups fail in our country.
Yes.
Not only in our country, but globally. So the question is, why do startups fail? And I have only one reason for that. They did not get a good mentor.
Right.
Startups fail because they don't get a good mentor. And how to mentor the young boys and girls, this is what I do. Right. So all the 3 books will keep coming. But I'm also writing 2 more books now.
Right.
One is on Chatur Chanakya, the children's series. I've written 2 books. 1 more book is coming up. And then I'm also planning to write a book on Indian pilgrimage sites. So I keep writing. And the good news is that people still want to read my books. Absolutely. As long as my readers are ready, I'll keep writing.
So this is so inspiring and motivating. Thank you. I have written only 1 book so far.
But 1 book is a good beginning. You are already a published author.
So what is your message for those authors? Because these days we hear also this rumor that, bookstores are shutting down. People are not reading book or buying book. So should we write continuously? Like, should we go into writing books, or should we get into that Audible book, or should we just stick to making and creating content for YouTube?
I myself believe in 2 things. Number 1, knowledge doesn't have limitation, and you can use any format comfortable to you. Okay, so I like to read physical books, let's say, like this.
Right.
But the thing is that I also am comfortable reading soft copies, Kindle version. So, in the olden days, there were Tadpatris, palm leaves. Now, they are no more there. So, today we are using paperwork. So, paper published books. Tomorrow, it can be videos also. It can be audios also.
Yes.
So, I think sometimes it's always good to use technology. So my advice to everybody is that whatever format you like, with soft copy, hard copy, podcast, a lot of audiobooks or video also. Books are getting converted into videos, into films also.
Right.
But please don't stop reading. Now coming back to your question of the publishing industry.
Yes.
Now you'll be surprised to know that in the publishing industry always, like any industry, has got ups and downs.
Yes.
So there was a time, especially when it went up, it started coming down. And a lot of companies, actually, you said it rightly, actually closed their shop because of 2 reasons. One is pandemic.
Yes.
Many companies say, abhi chalta nahi hai, so they shut it down. But the interesting part is that the success is again coming back. It's already on an upward curve.
Okay.
I'll give you an example, Crossword, one of the largest bookstores in India. Yes. They actually decided to shut it down.
Right.
And fortunately, they got a person who wanted to buy out Crossword. So Crossword is now having more bookstores than it had. So initially they had 90 stores and now Crossword has got 100 stores.
Is it?
Wow. Yeah. So we thought Crossword band ho gaya. I remember, in Bombay, since both of us come from Mumbai, or Bombay as we call it, there's the flagship of Crossword store is actually in a place called as 𝐒𝐚𝐴's Corner.
Yes.
That actually 𝐒𝐴's Corner was shutting down.
Actually, I heard that news. Yes.
And I remember going with my children over there to buy, throwaway books.
Right.
All the stocks were going to get, finished, and you go there. So 100 rupees book, you can get it at, maybe 50 rupees and all that.
Right.
But they are giving you books. It's called, stock clearance. So they were giving 80% discount to books also. It was so painful for me because I'm an author, right? I released so many books there. I went over there, purchased the books and all, and that officially closing ceremony. But within 1 week, magic happened. They got a new buyer, and the same 𝐒𝐴's Corner was called again for relaunch of that particular bookstore. So think about it, book industry will never die because it is a part of knowledge industry. I repeated, book industry can never die because it's a part of knowledge industry. And India is a knowledge country. Right. We always respect authors and gurus. So for thousands of years, we have always loved books, be it, mathematics books, be it Patanjali Yoga Sutra, be it Ramayana, Mahabharata. So I don't think that's a worry. Only my worry is that our people stop reading. So there'll be enough writers. You have written one book, please continue writing more books. I'll help you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So all of you should read a lot, and one day you should also write a lot.
Absolutely.
So start as a reader and become a writer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this amazing podcast, sir. Thank you so much. It was really a great privilege, and it was so amazing to hear your golden, your vision you shared, your experience you shared, your knowledge you shared. I'm sure the audience, the listeners are going to gain a lot from this podcast. Thank you again.
You've been a wonderful host. Fantastic questions. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you so much, sir.